Okay, let's shatter this massive myth right out of the gate. Relationships do not just end in one giant, dramatic explosion. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some fascinating research that completely flips the script on how human connections actually fade away. If you've ever felt a vibe shift with someone but couldn't quite put your finger on it, well, you're in the right place. We're going to give you the exact vocabulary to understand what's actually happening. We are decoding the subtle breaches of trust that fly right under the radar.
So you might think everything is perfectly fine until a massive argument hits. But the reality, it is way, way more subtle than that. We often look at a dramatic breakup or a sudden falling out and think, wow, no way, that happened completely out of nowhere. But the source material we're looking at today reveals that this is almost never the case. The explosion isn't the beginning of the end. Actually, scratch that. It's more like the final symptom of a decay that's been quietly happening in the background for a really long time.
All right, let's move right into Section 1, the silent trust collapse.
See, the foundation of a relationship isn't usually destroyed by a wrecking ball. It's a silent collapse of trust. And this is an absolutely crucial concept. It means the relationship is being eroded, drop, by tiny little behaviors and slight shifts in the dynamic that we just brush off. We tell ourselves, oh, they're just tired, or it's no big deal. But these tiny things accumulate, and they are exactly the clues we need to start spotting.
To actually spot them, we need what's in Section 2, high interpersonal sensitivity.
Think of this sensitivity as your personal superpower. It protects your emotional energy from vampires way before long-term damage sets in. High interpersonal sensitivity, it's not about being paranoid, right? It's about being profoundly observant. It lets you see the microfractures in a dynamic before they turn into this giant, uncrossable canyon. By cultivating this, you can actually catch dishonest intentions super early. You are literally protecting your peace just by seeing the truth of the situation.
Psychologists point out that reading what they call micro-hesitations is basically like learning the silent language of fading trust. Think about a time you asked someone a direct question, and right before they answered, there was just a fraction of a second of hesitation, or maybe a really slight unnatural shift in their tone. Those are micro-hesitations. They are the absolute first signs that the depth of your connection is starting to shallow out. When you learn to catch these, you are translating human behavior in real time. Which leads us to Section 3, physical and vocal barriers. Let's look at the physical symptoms, because the body often tells the truth even when the mouth is lying. There's a massive difference between what we see on the surface and the deeper truth underneath. Take a forced social smile, for example. It's a classic sign that someone is performing for you rather than being authentically present. And then there's pulling away from touch. This isn't just about needing personal space. It's a literal rejection of emotional attunement. Their body is actively, physically resisting the connection with you.
We all have a healthy baseline with the people we know, usually marked by an open posture and vocal certainty. You just know how they usually act, but when trust starts to fade, you see this sudden physical filtering. They might cross their arms or physically place objects between you guys. And that faltering voice, the research suggests their brain is actually experiencing a metacognition error. They're internally struggling to manage a hidden truth, and it literally leaks out in their posture and the pitch of their voice.
Now for Section 4, emotional escape tactics. Let's see how people try to flee the situation without actually leaving the room. You know when a conversation gets real and suddenly the pattern on the living room rug becomes the most fascinating thing in the entire world to the person you're talking to? Yeah, that is an escape tactic. They are actively avoiding the vulnerability required for that depth. It's a defense mechanism to shield themselves from the emotional weight of what's going on. And when things get tense, pulling out a phone isn't just mildly rude, it's a demand for digital noise. It actively siphons away the cognitive bandwidth needed to maintain or repair the relationship. We see this all the time, right? The conversation hits slightly deep waters and boom, the screen lights up. It is a profound, incredibly common avoidance tactic. And here is a huge one. If you notice repeated fidgeting when the room goes quiet, it's a glaring symptom that psychological safety has vanished. Think about comfortable silence. You can only share a comfortable silence with someone when you feel completely psychologically safe with them. When that safety evaporates during a silent collapse of trust, silence becomes absolutely intolerable. The fidgeting is just the body's anxious response to a suddenly unsafe emotional environment. Eventually, all of these things pile up and we hit Section 5, the breaking point.
The anger you see at this stage isn't the root issue at all. It's just unprocessed emotion leaking out. You might suddenly get hit with a wave of irritability or harsh finger pointing over something totally trivial. If you don't understand the concept of a silent collapse, you're going to try to fight about the trivial thing. But the irritability is just the pressure valve finally snapping. It's releasing all those unprocessed hidden emotions that have been building up behind the physical barriers we just talked about. When you see this kind of aggressive finger pointing, you are witnessing the ultimate red flag. The core wound of the relationship is being completely ignored. Instead of doing the genuinely hard work of acknowledging the fading trust and talking about uncomfortable truths, the person is deflecting. They are pointing fingers outward so they don't have to look inward. It's a huge warning sign that the connection is actively deteriorating.
Which brings us right to Section 6, healing and moving forward. Because, honestly, knowing all of this is only half the battle.
This quote leaves us with such a profound realization. You didn't cause the silent collapse, but you absolutely must take charge of your own peace. When you observe these subtle breaches of trust, man, it can be painful. The actions of energy vampires are the slow fade of a connection you cared about. That wound isn't your fault. But waiting around for the other person to fix it, that is a massive trap. The responsibility for your healing, your boundaries, and your emotional energy rests entirely with you.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Now that you can speak the silent language of trust, how are you going to use it to protect your energy? You are now equipped to see the micro-hesitations, the physical filtering, and the emotional escape tactics. You can spot the silent collapse way before the final explosion. The real question is, will you trust what you see? Will you use this knowledge to curate a healthy, truly authentic circle? Think about that as you go through your week.